Hello, my friends. This is Troy Brewer of Experiencing Real Life, heard every single day on Bible School Radio, 91.3 KDKR, Decatur, Dallas-Fort Worth, and on 91.3 KYJC Commerce.
Portions of KDKR programming do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or staff.
Prudent Money with Bob Brooks is sponsored by the Prudent Money Foundation on 91.3.
Well, another day, another 560 million consumer files hacked. Today, we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for Prudent Money. Good afternoon, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Hey, I want to make sure that if you got a question, I have a place for you to go, which is prudentmoney.com. There's a couple of ways to get information. The first one is just send an email in. There's a link for info@prudentmoney.com. Send us your question. I will get it. I will get it answered for you. And that's an easy way to get information. If a little bit more complex situation, you're welcome to go on a calendar and claim a time, and we'll have a short phone conference, and I can ask several questions at a time. That way I can get you what you need. So lots of ways to get information. Just go to the website at www.prudentmoney.com. Well, I can't really, this is almost unbelievable to me. And maybe I look at it as more of a big deal than most people. I guess I've just been following it so closely through so many years. And that's with these data hacks, these consumer files that are hacked, where identity theft thieves steal information from company servers. They break in. And the last couple of weeks, we've talked a little bit about the number of consumer hacks that have happened. And I mean, I just adding up, there was like 3 or 4 main ones. And once again, I want to say that again, 3 or 4 that were of significant size. And if you added all of them together, all the consumers whose information had been compromised, you would come up with over a third of our country. Over 1/3 of our country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you could do the math. It's very black and white. There's no guesswork in it. There's 327 million people in our country. And so if you just go add up the numbers of consumer files compromised, there's maybe a 99 to 100% chance that this could affect you in some way. Ticketmaster, I have not come across any information that says this is the all-time biggest one. Because I believe, I want to say that maybe, well, I don't see how it couldn't be. And they're I'll tell you what's interesting. They're very careful what they say. They're saying as little as and I get it, you know, they're saying as little as they have to say to stay with compliance. But if you haven't heard about this, I just happen to do what I do every Monday morning. Well, pretty much every day is scale the news and see what's going on, and could not believe the size and the scope of this identity theft or this consumer break-in. 560 million consumer files were compromised. Said another way, 560 million consumer files were stolen. Information was stolen. 1.3 terabytes of data. I don't even know what a terabyte is. That's for I know what it is, but I don't know what it means. I mean, how much data we're talking about. We're talking about a lot of data, though. A whopping 560 million users of Ticketmaster, and of course they release a consumer information announcements stating that Live Nation Entertainment, the company which is connected with Ticketmaster, launched an investigation with industry-leading forensic investigators to understand what happened. On May 27, 2024, a criminal threat actor, whatever that is, offered what it alleged to be company user data for sale via the dark web. They were this hacker group, which they refer to as a notorious hacker group. It's called Shiny Hunters, has claimed to have breached the security of Ticketmaster, compromising the personal data of a whopping 560 million users. Now they're taking this information and putting it for sale. A one-time sale of $500,000 would get you this information on the dark web. Now, Shiny Hunters has allegedly assessed a treasure trove of sensitive user information, including full names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, ticket sales and event details, order information, and partial payment card data. Specifically, the compromised payment data includes customer names, the last four digits of card numbers, expiration dates, and even customer fraud details. Now, the way that I look at this, they only, you know how when you, and this for identity theft purposes, of course, is they only disclose the last four digits of the credit card. So I don't know. I mean, somewhere buried in that information has got to be the credit card data. And maybe they got to it or maybe they didn't. But I'm sure that if Ticketmaster can get away with saying just the four digits of the credit card were exposed or compromised and not the whole credit card number, then that's probably what might have happened. That's a big. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I say it doesn't matter. It would be a lot worse if we knew that if you had. I mean, I've got a credit card on Ticketmaster. I'm sure that you would have a bigger problem if they have your credit card information. They've got everything except the last four digits. I'm sure there's different ways they can invent to compromise further information. But there's 560 million accounts compromised, 327 million people in the U.S., counting babies. So there's a lot less. That number goes down 327 for people who could potentially have their money. I mean, have their information in that data. There's 8.1 just for grins. In fact, I discovered something that you might be interested in. 8.1 billion people in the world, and do you know, just like the U.S. debt clock, which calculates debt every second and counts debt every second of the day, 24/7. They also have one that counts world population. How they come up with these numbers, I don't know. worldometers.info is the internet address. And right there, they just how many babies are born, what the population growth is, 8.1 billion. So 560 million of those accounts would make up part of that 8.1 billion. Just absolutely amazing Now, what does this mean to you? What does it mean to me, the consumer base, whose information was compromised? Well, I think it, and if you haven't kind of even been thinking about this, I would encourage you to use this time, whether you're listening to the radio show or the podcast, to take the time to consider what this means. Because you've got to be even more careful. You've got to set a time, and this is something that, being more careful doesn't necessarily mean this is going to take a lot of time out of your week. But I would encourage you to set a time every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, one day, that you review your transactions of the prior week. Make sure everything is right. Or on your if it's your credit card, maybe you do it once a month. Because remember, when we talked about this last week, is that with your credit card, if you have any of your information was compromised, any information was fraudulently stolen from the card, someone did an unauthorized charge, in other words, you have an unlimited time to report it and get, no questions asked, your money and assets restored back to the card. What you don't have unlimited time on is debit cards. We talked about that. Anyway, having said that, I still think it's a good practice to do that. Second, I got to speak to this too in just a second. I would cancel the card that you have on file with Ticketmaster and replace it with another one. Have it reissued. I don't know if Ticketmaster wrote this information or it was whoever wrote the article, but it was like the very, very last thing. Yeah, or you might consider getting your card canceled and reissued. More on that in a little bit. This is Bob Brooks. We're up against a break. Stick around. More to come. Hello, this is Bob Brooks. Proverbs 22:3 and Proverbs 27:12 are the exact same verse word for word. I call them the stewardship verses of risk. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. On the Prudent Money Radio Show, we teach about risk, how to identify it, how to figure it out, and what to do about it. We believe that to be a prudent steward, you have to be a good risk manager. Listen to the Prudent Money Radio Show on Bible School Radio 91.3. Prudent Money, home of the modern-day steward movement.
Enjoy KDKR wherever you go on all your devices with the free Live 365 app. Just download Live 365 from your app store and search for KDKR Bible School Radio.
This week on Truth for Life, Alistair Begg explores the Bible's spiritual framework for training, nurturing, and disciplining children from birth to adulthood. Find out why Christian parents always have hope, even when our best efforts appear to have failed. Join us for Truth for Life with Alistair Begg.
Weekdays at 5:30 a.m. here on 91.3 KDKR.
Welcome back. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate you. Hey, do you wonder what your risk level is? If you do, then take the Prudent Money Risk Survey. It might take you 5 minutes to complete. It's very short, and it takes no time to fill out. From there, we will send you what we feel is your risk level, along with a copy of a soon-to-be-released ebook on how to use the risk survey. So go to prudentmoney.com, find out where you are on the 4-level risk scale. You might find yourself looking at investing in a totally different way. That's all at the website, www.prudentmoney.com. And one other thing, just a little bit of housekeeping to make sure that you do know, is that we podcast every show every day. And so if your preferred method of consuming content is through the website, it's through podcasting, we got you set up, got you taken care of. Go to prudentmoney.com. Right there on the front page, you'll see each of one of the podcasts, or we're also on Apple and all the other preferred podcasting platforms. All you got to do is just enter in Prudent Money in the search box, and you'll get taken care of. That's all. Starts at prudentmoney.com. So what I was talking about is, it seemed to me that whoever wrote the article, whether it was the Ticketmaster or whoever the author the article, it was funny because it was like, this is it was almost like reluctantly saying, you could, if you think you really need to, go replace your card. And of course I'm sure they would not want that to happen. The time it would take for all that. Of course, I'm sure this is quite the nightmare for Ticketmaster. I hate to see any company go through this. It just once again makes me wonder, are companies doing enough to protect our information, or are these hacker groups that much more sophisticated? And I don't know. It just doesn't seem like, it seems like we are constantly chasing the solution and they're way ahead of us. So they do offer, and I don't want, and you need to be careful about this, because assuming one thing and it is another. They do offer a sign up for a free credit monitoring service, but there are 3 credit reporting agencies that you have information at. So in my humble opinion, there is, you need access to all 3, but they don't do that. They only do access to one, and it's TransUnion. Equifax and Experian are not included in there. So you only, it could be that someone steals your information and then they go to get it approved and they don't go to TransUnion. It definitely can happen. The other thing that you can do, and I'm seeing more companies do this, and it's just a speculative hunch on my part that it's better to be on text than it is email. So I know, like with my company, we have a email only database for clients, and I think that there's a little bit more security there. So just something to think of. What I think that you've got to be careful about is that these scams that can come about as to having all this information, and that a scammer can call anyone and convince them that they're legit, especially elderly people. That's my big concern. And once again, think about this for a second. And it's a good conversation to have if you're an adult child with your mom or your dad. And be careful about answering your phone, who you talk to, who you give information to, just as kind of a reminder. WalletHub.com has a list of information that they say you should consider, and some of these I think are really good. Update your Ticketmaster credentials, and they talk about activating two-step verification, which, if you have the opportunity to set up two-step verification, you should definitely do that on anything. That is one extra step that could keep out the bad guys. Change Healthcare admits that if they had two-step verification, that their consumer hack wouldn't have occurred, and it was a bad one. This is one that happened a couple of weeks ago. Watch out for activity on credit card accounts linked to Ticketmaster. It says these accounts are the most likely to be compromised, so watch out for purchases you didn't make. If you want to be extra cautious, you can ask your credit card company to issue you a replacement. Oh, there it is right there. I was looking for it. This was Wallet Hub that said this. To me, this is the top of the list that you should do. You can ask your credit card company to issue a replacement with a new number. Keep an eye on your tickets for upcoming events. Can you imagine? I was sitting here thinking about the scams that could be pulled off. That and what does Ticketmaster have to do to make sure that nothing happens to business that they've already done? I mean, because you go and you get your tickets, maybe you wait a while, and I'm sure there's going to be the vast majority of people who read this article about this consumer hack, Consumer Files, is going to look at it, maybe think about it for a couple seconds and move on. They're not going to consider the ramifications of it. People who get it, they read it, they understand the risk, maybe aren't going to take the time that it takes to really do a couple things that make sense to protect the information. So this is where the bad guys, we'll call them, take advantage of this situation. And if you're uninformed, you're uninformed, and you're more than likely you make a good candidate to get your information compromised. It says sign up for round-the-clock credit monitoring. I'm a big believer in credit monitoring, and I don't believe that you have to buy one with all the quote-unquote bells and whistles that nobody has proven to me in all the years I've done radio that are actually something that are that significant. I don't know, just a little bit of the skepticism in me. A freeze is better than an alert. We've talked about credit freezes a lot. If you want to protect yourself, when they call it fraudulent borrowing, I like that. Locking up those credit reports to where nobody can get into them without a code is so very important to do. So a freeze is better than an alert. A credit alert does nothing for you. The company that, and this was, 10, 15 years ago, that came out with the state-of-the-art credit protection software. You just call in and automatically you're taken care of. And the guy would drive, the CEO of the company would drive a semi around in New York with his Social Security number on it, and he claims that he's fully protected by this company. Well, what they don't talk about is he got his personal information stolen about 25 times or something like that. So it wasn't completely, but they were using credit alerts. The whole point is, I've yet to hear of a freeze being violated. So just keep that in mind. Then what I call this is my own, what I call the golden rule of identity theft. And it's simply this: never respond with information when you have been approached. And this is very simple. You're approached by emails. You're approached by texts. You could be approached at your front door. You're definitely approached by your phone, by your cell phone, email. And they're asking for something. They're asking you to verify. If you didn't initiate it, if you don't know if it just came out of the blue. I saw one today that looked so legitimate. It was Costco rewards. And this is where the bad guys are winning, because they're able to pull these scams off. They get access to your computer, and it's all over with from there. So if anything at all, just make sure you are being very, very careful. Because granted, the good news is they didn't get social security numbers, because I doubt there were any in their database because you don't really need that to charge your card. But it sounds like that you with your old 4 digits in there, they can break in and charge up new sales at Ticketmaster, so you want to be careful with that. So go check it out. This is Bob Brooks. If you got a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.